my full-time job became managing Puff, and I was doing other things. So even when I let Puff go, for the whole time he was let go, he was always on payroll. I never stopped paying him until he found his next spot. His artists were always still getting per diem, because I didn't do it to hurt him, but I knew it was time for him to grow. And the only way he could grow was if he was going to have the same kind of corporate compensations that I was subjected to. And then he would understand what he could and could not do.
You got a guy named Anthony Wolf Jones, who was from Bad Boy, from its conception, is doing security and being one of the financiers of Puff having to have some money to keep Big and Craig Mack around before he got to Clyde Davis.
All of these big deviants is all catching hell in 2024. It's up for all of them. It don't matter if you Diddy or whoever you is, TG Jakes, any of them. All lies will be exposed. That's all. And anyone who takes that the wrong way, know why they take it the wrong way.
Moments ago, Gene Deal released a new round of explosive allegations that have reignited discussion surrounding Sean Diddy Combs and left the entertainment world uneasy once again. Deal, who previously worked as Diddy's personal bodyguard during the Bad Boy Records era, claims the public was only shown a carefully crafted version of Combs. Behind the scenes, Deal says, the reality involved powerful mentors, learned behavior, and an industry willing to ignore troubling actions. According to him, Diddy's ascent was far from random. His controversial conduct was observed, absorbed, encouraged, and even rewarded early in his career. From his beginnings at Uptown Records to the rise of Bad Boy, Deal describes a path shaped by ambition, influence, and ethical compromise. These statements come in the wake of Diddy's October 2025 conviction and 50-month prison sentence, which many now see as confirmation of rumors long dismissed. Deal insists his goal isn't simply to expose Diddy, but to spotlight the systems, cultural norms, and influential figures that enabled an era of silence. He criticizes major documentaries for avoiding responsibility and overlooking real victims. This is not tabloid chatter, but an examination of power, complicity, and how truth eventually surfaces.
Anybody who in law enforcement or people know the law, when Homeland Security ran up into his house, people will tell you, or people knew that it was just a matter of time that they was going to indict him and bring him in to see the judge, bro. It was just a matter of time. I just figured out with the grand jury and their different sessions and stuff like that. And then what one of the witnesses told me, I just figured it out that it was going to be around September that they were going to bring him in, bro. People might not understand. It's difficult when you see a brother that has so much promise become an icon as far as in the music business and stuff that he did, to turn around and, just tear his whole life down. But it's all because of his mentors and the people that trained him and taught him the music business. You know, it's all about the people who trained and taught him the music business, because Puff wasn't, he wasn't born a monster. You know what I'm saying? He was made into a monster, brother. Do you understand what I'm saying? He was made into a monster from the stuff that happened to him, the things that he had to do. You understand? The things that he had to do to become who he is. You know what I'm saying? You know, it's like this, brother. You never like something so much that you can't do without, and you never be willing to do anything to get where you want to be at. You got to have principles. You got to have morals. You got to keep with that stuff. And in that music business, a lot of that stuff get thrown out the window. You understand? And that's what happened to him. He started doing the things to other people that was done to him. To keep it frank, he was doing the things to other people that was done to him. And it is what it is. You got to know better. And if you know better, you will do better. When he was in New York City, he was like that Gecko from the Geico commercial. Then he turned and start going when he lived in Cali and Miami. He turned into Godzilla. I would see him talk about how he using drugs. He was never like that. Smoking cigarettes, smoking weed and everything like that. He turned into something that you could consider a monster, bruh. Then he started doing things to people. You understand that he learned. That's a learned behavior, bruh. Now, I'm not saying that he may have been doing a couple of things here and there with women, stuff like that in New York, but the things that they're talking about that he was doing, bringing in prostitutes to have sex with his girl and all that stuff like that, that was some crazy stuff to me, man. So I'm just looking at this whole thing, man, and you had asked me, and we don't have these conversations like most people do. We're going to go back and you're going to tell me what, we're going to talk about this. You said, I'm going to ask you how you feel, bro.
Gene Deal's core argument is both direct and significant. He believes Sean Diddy, Combs learned his behavior by closely studying those who held power above him. Deal explains that when Diddy began working at Uptown Records under Andre Harrell, he was quiet, watchful, and intensely ambitious, absorbing how influence truly functioned. Deal compares him to a gecko, small, observant, and strategic. As Diddy later expanded his reach in Lowe's Angels and Miami, that gecko, according to Deal, transformed into Godzilla, becoming the dominant, larger-than-life force the public eventually recognized. Deal recalls witnessing moments in studios and offices that revealed this evolution firsthand.
So even when I let Puff go, for the whole time he was let go, he was always on payroll. Mm-hmm. I never stopped paying him until he found his next spot. His artists were always still getting per diem. Because I didn't do it to hurt him, but obviously, I knew it was time for him to grow. And the only way he could grow was if he was going to have the same kind of corporate conversations that I was subjected to. Mm-hmm. And then he would understand what he could and could not do. And the final straw for me was when MCA wanted me to not put out the Biggie Smalls album because they didn't like the subject matter, and they wanted me to tell him he's got to change his tone. And it wasn't up to me, I felt, to tell a generation what they could and could not do artistically. Mm-hmm. So I knew it wasn't going to work because he was coming from a new space and a new era. The Dr. Dre Chronic album that came out, and that was a major influence over music. So whereas I had Heavy D, who was more like a happy, female loving, uplifting kind of celebratory artist, Puff's Heavy D was Biggie Smalls. Yeah. And Biggie Smalls was more like in the streets and telling street stories, and he told them well.
And that was a transition in hip hop.
And big in New York. Yeah. For New York. And Biggie Smalls ended up becoming my favorite rapper of all time. Mm-hmm. But I didn't want to sit there and be the one confining Puff because the corporation was telling me to do that. I'm not built that way. Mm-hmm. So I told Puff he needs to go and create his own opportunity. You red hot. I'm really letting you go so you can get rich.
Yeah, and he did, and you guys together, you did as well.
Deal claims that influential figures such as Andre Harrell, Russell Simmons, and Clive Davis helped create environments where questionable conduct was accepted and rarely challenged. He alleges that Sean Diddy, Combs followed the examples set before him. Deal says he personally witnessed situations that left him uneasy, experiences he now believes played a major role in shaping Diddy's views on power, control, excess, and entitlement.
That's not the Puff that I know. To smoke a cigarette, I believe that opioids addiction changed his whole life and changed who he was. He's quietly an addict. So is he responsible for some of the shit that he did? Because of his addiction, yes, he is. But it has a lot to do with drugs, bro. And that brother might need some help.
Well, do you see any legal problems coming from any of this?
It's based on what they find in discovery. We know that we have people that's putting a civil suit against them. We know there's people that's putting a civil suit against them. But in that civil suit, if they find something criminal, then there might be a prosecutor who say, yo, listen to me. I want to bring this in.
Gene Deal alleges that drug use, abuse of women, and exploitative industry practices were considered routine behind closed doors. Once Sean Diddy Combs gained real authority, Deal says he stopped quietly imitating others and instead intensified his behavior. Private events became increasingly extreme, loyalty was expected, and silence was rewarded. Deal is clear that this context does not excuse Diddy's actions, but rather explains how unchallenged power multiplies itself. In his view, Diddy is accountable for his decisions, but the culture that shaped him bears responsibility as well. Now that Diddy has been convicted, Deal argues the industry can no longer act as though this behavior emerged without influence. Someone modeled it, others tolerated it, and many benefited from staying quiet. Deal revisits the 1991 City College charity basketball game tragedy, where 9 people, including teenagers, were killed in a stampede. He insists it should never be minimized, pointing to early signs of negligence, ego, and reckless decision-making. Deal claims his security team was removed before the event, exits were mishandled, and profit was prioritized over safety. Though these allegations have circulated for decades, he says they remain largely ignored. This is why he criticizes 50 Cent's Netflix documentary released in December 2025, arguing it focused on surface-level narratives while avoiding deeper accountability, omitting critical figures, timelines, and footage that could have changed public understanding.
And what does that scene show?
Well, I mean, you're a journalist, Harvey. Harvey, you would not disclose your sources.
We usually don't.
Yeah, but I got it. Yeah.
What he said.
And what do you think it conveys? Because we see someone trying to pull the strings and talking about, he would say affecting, others would say manipulating the public views of the allegations.
I think that, one big theme of the series is to go behind the scenes to really understand how brilliant you could say Sean Combs is at marketing, at owning his narrative, controlling the narrative at all times. And so why would that stop, when his life is on the line? So I think that, on its face, that's what it is. But as you get deeper in the film, you start to realize, perhaps how some of these tactics, how they really came to present themselves, during the trial.
You show that his abilities, his early rise. Right. Alexandra, you also give time to victims of the alleged abuse. Some of the cases are in different procedural postures. And you show victims who were women and men. Why is that important?
Because, victims of sexual assault, sexual violence, gender should not be a part of that conversation. When you are a victim, you are a victim. And I think that, this series was a platform in a way for these alleged victims to come forward, give their truth, put context to their situations when so much of it was ripped out, and we just the world was going for the salacious headlines, and they really had the time to tell their story.
Yeah, and the film takes us way behind the PR or propaganda machine. You see Diddy the day he's finding out about new suits against him while he's in New York preparing for a possible criminal arrest. This is another moment from the video that 50 said he won't tell us where he got it.
Deal also shares that he declined to participate in projects that failed to fairly compensate him and others he believed were vital voices. When his conditions were denied, he chose to walk away. He says that decision resulted in a safer, more sanitized version of the story being presented. For Deal, the issue was never money. It was about preserving historical truth. He argues that when documentaries avoid uncomfortable realities, they protect the very systems responsible for the harm instead of exposing them. In this light, many now see Cat Williams' 2024 Club Shay Shay interview as eerily prophetic.
All lies will be exposed. That's all. And anyone who takes that the wrong way, know why they take it the wrong way.
Gene Deal connects Cat Williams' jokes and warnings to what later unfolded around Sean Diddy Combs. Williams never directly accused anyone, but made pointed remarks filled with implication, nomming figures such as Jay-Z, Steve Harvey, Tyler Perry, Kevin Hart, and others, not as criminals, but as individuals who allegedly benefited from proximity, silence, or industry protection. Deal cautiously echoes this sentiment, stressing that he has no proof of crimes and that no charges exist as of January 2026. However, he claims many attended private gatherings, accepted favors, or remained silent when speaking up may have mattered. Both Deal and Williams suggest fear, not loyalty, kept people quiet, and that silence became a form of leverage. Since Diddy's sentencing, Deal believes anxiety has grown, not over crimes committed, but over what people ignored. He repeatedly emphasizes one idea: Diddy rose, but many around him suffered. Deal points to artists like Craig Mack and Black Rob as examples of talent that was exploited and discarded. He also revisits the death of Biggie Smalls, suggesting ego, poor judgment, and unresolved conflicts played a role. He further discusses Anthony Wolf Jones, claiming financial disputes and disrespect led to lasting consequences. While these claims remain unproven, Deal presents them as recurring patterns rather than isolated events.
Kid told me his life story, bro. I tried to stop these people from going to the party. It was his decision. You understand? That cost that kid his life. Even when I tried to ride on the side of the fucking truck, he gonna tell me, yo, Gene, if you don't get in this car, you ain't gonna never work again for Bad Boy. I should have said F Bad Boy and did what I knew to do. You understand? That kid lost his life. It wasn't my watch, but I was there. He had his own bodyguards, but I still was there. I knew something was gonna go down. I was willing to ride on the side of the damn car so I could save this kid's life. Now, my man go to him, ASAP Ferg father. He goes to him. Yo, Puff, blase, whoop-de-whoop. I gotta have this, or these guys it's gonna be a problem in the street. Here go this. You can use this until I can give it back to him. This nigga said, what? I can't do that. Understandable, whatever the situation was. My man died the day after my birthday. Turns around, tell Wolf, I'm gonna give you your $300,000. Wolf is the one who brought me back into Bad Boy, or brought me back into Bad Boy, because I was there before Wolf himself. Wolf's mother let me hear something that the what they call it, the drug enforcement, the prosecutor from Atlanta, that Puff told Meech, go ahead and do what you got to do. When him and Wolf was beefing outside, I heard Wolf say out of his mouth, "I'ma show you, them niggas ain't that." I knew he was building up the atmosphere between Meech and Wolf to go at it. Do you hear me? Wolf get killed by some kids from BMF. Actually, the dude that he put down with BMF. This nigga brags about cussing Wolf's mother out. And I'm going to call his name out. He bragged to his cousin, Ak. So you niggas in New York, if y'all don't believe what I'm saying, ask Ak. If Wolf was alive, the way he loved his mother, we wouldn't be talking about Diddy today. I say this dude even after all that, I still say this nigga.
According to Gene Deal, Sean Diddy Combs consistently valued image and control over people. Once someone stopped being useful, Deal says they were cast aside. He believes this more than anything defines Diddy's legacy, one few are willing to confront. With Diddy now incarcerated, Deal argues the discussion should extend beyond punishment and move toward reflection. Who benefited? Who remained silent? And who ultimately paid the cost? As Deal's claims continue circulating, attention has shifted to the broader network of celebrities connected directly or indirectly to Diddy's private gatherings. Over time, these events have been described not as casual parties, but as exclusive, invitation-only spaces where power, influence, and opportunity quietly overlapped.
Tyler Perry. I didn't really talk about Puffy. It's some stuff I'd be like, okay, let me see what happened with this. Cause I don't want to be one of them people who say this about somebody and then have to eat crow later on.
Right.
Let me give you some examples. There was something going on when we had that discussion about Chris Webber.
Right.
I didn't say much about Chris Webber. I talked about fucking people's wives.
Right.
Then people were saying Corey said something about Chris Webber.
Right.
And I didn't really say nothing about Chris Webber like that except giving praise. Cause I only know Chris Webber from hooping. And I used to hoop. So I look up to them guys. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
But Chris Webber never said I didn't f that away.
Right.
There's things in the news about Tyler Perry.
I'm not gay no more.
I want to tell Tyler Perry this. I would love to come work for you, Tyler Perry.
Who's next? Y'all don't see the lineup?
Oh, yeah, no.
Yeah, we see the lineup. I'm just waiting to see who's next. Jay-Z is setting Diddy up. Why is everyone having such a hard time? He ain't doing shit different. He lined up D. Haven, stole his life and identity. He lined up Big L, stole his life and identity. He lined up Dame Dash, stole his life, identity, and took his love. Lined up R. Kelly. He wants to be the one.
Yeah, shout out D. Haven. He actually hit us up, wanted to tell this story.
You need to talk to D. Haven.
Yeah, we need to talk to him.
I told you that last year when I put you on the phone with him.
You did.
I want you to think about this. Allegedly, Sean Carter is responsible for enacting Hype Williams to put Aaliyah on a faulty plane to move her out the way as punishment for rejecting him, and so he could level up Beyonce, who was struggling. Let's just say allegedly that happened. Now I want you to think about 106th and Park with Mary J. Blige. Free, who is a victim of Sean Carter.
Yeah.
Mary J. Blige, who is a victim of Sean Combs, are sitting there talking about the death of Aaliyah amongst each other. Think about that. You got a Diddy victim, you got a Jay-Z victim, and you got a superstar gone. They know what happened. And yet, they had to sit there and have that conversation like they didn't know who did it.
I'm shutting down the idea of after parties. No after parties tonight, okay? None. Take your asses home after this. That's why I did it on a Monday. I did it on a Monday. People got to go to work tomorrow. No after parties. That's what get slippery at them after parties. Okay? We're learning a lot about people, ain't we? We're learning a lot.
Honestly, it looked to me like you could hear some laughter. There was laughter. It was funny, but it's like people were on camera and didn't want to seemed like they were laughing.
BET Awards positions themselves as the culture's biggest night, and once upon a time, Diddy was a big part of this culture. You know, his after parties, you know, were a part of the BET experience. So, you know, life comes at you fast, but, you know, Kevin had to address the elephant in the room.
By the way, we should say the Diddy after parties that happen after award shows, that's not what the trial is about. Those weren't freak-offs. The trial is something separate, but still nobody wanted to be seen as laughing at him. There were some icon awards handed out.
Public discussion has increasingly focused on figures such as Jay-Z, Kevin Hart, Tyler Perry, Ludacris, Steve Harvey, and others, not for proven wrongdoing, but for their proximity to Sean Diddy, Combs during critical stages of their careers. Some critics argue that simply attending his private gatherings functioned as an unspoken agreement. Show up, stay quiet, and doors would open. Gene Deal does not accuse these individuals of crimes, but claims many benefited from an atmosphere where challenging authority was discouraged. Cat Williams framed these relationships as strategic, suggesting the industry often rewarded loyalty more than talent. Rumors involving hidden cameras, private recordings, and leverage have fueled suspicion despite a lack of evidence. In this environment, silence became valuable currency. Some maintained public distance while remaining privately connected, while others allegedly withdrew only after Diddy's legal issues became unavoidable. As of January 2026, none of these figures face charges, and all claims remain unproven. Still, public perception has shifted, with fans revisiting old interviews, jokes, and collaborations through a new lens, questioning whether success came solely from talent or from proximity to power. Ultimately, the controversy centers less on events themselves and more on what people were willing to overlook to protect their status.
I have no intel on that story or what went down, or they didn't do their investigations right, which he also led up to the reason why Wolf ain't here today. You understand? They didn't tell that story. They didn't tell a story about Jessica Rosenberg, who was at the City College situation. You understand? When it was Puff, Heavy D, and Jessica. You know what I'm saying? Jessica was the reason why those kids lost their life, because she locked the door on those kids running down the steps. You understand? You could see her name in a news article, but they didn't mention nothing about her taking place, but they try to put Heavy D, God bless the dead, out there and they put Puff out there. You know what I'm saying? She should have been the main one, because she is the one who locked the door on the kids. You understand? She is the one who locked the door on the kids, and all those kids lost their life. Had she not locked those doors, not one kid would have lost their life. Not one kid would have lost their life. And that's what happened. I don't think it's only celebrities going to be shook. He had politicians in there. He had princes in there. He also had a couple of preachers in there.
You personally, you think they got tapes?
Well, my personal opinion that if Lil Rob could be trusted and his statements are true, they got him. They got tapes of stuff.
Gene Deal's message extends beyond Sean Diddy Combs. It speaks to how power functions when no one is willing to challenge it. Diddy's 2025 conviction may have ended one chapter, but it has opened many difficult questions about mentorship, silence, and accountability within the entertainment industry. Deal believes karma moves slowly but decisively. Careers rise, truths wait, and eventually the past resurfaces. The questions now are straightforward. How many people knew more than they admitted? And how many stories remain untold? Share your thoughts in the comments. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to subscribe so you don't miss future content. Until next time, fam.